What's the deal, folks? I am Lex Black. You're tuning into my show, Midnight Arcade. This is episode 4, and I'm extremely excited if you couldn't tell, not only because this is the 4th episode, but we're covering a cult classic today, and many may not consider it a classic because of the classics that it came out next to during the year that it came out, unfortunately. But still, we're going to cover it. I'm super excited. It's a dope childhood memory show of mine. The show that we're talking about here is Outlaw Star, but we're not going to talk about it until after the jump. Hey guys, we're back. I'm going to do my best to do the show some justice in my video breakdown, but I'm not going to get into all the specifics because if I did, then we would be here for, hours. This show impacted me. I remember watching Toonami, showing my years here, back in '98. And I remember seeing the promo. It was like a 2-minute promo that had this amazing anime lineup. And on it was like Yu Yu Hakusho, Inuyasha, Gundam Wing, and Outlaw Star, right? And I remember the clip for the promo for Outlaw Star within that 2-minute Toonami promo clip. I was like, man, it was so cool. It was the main character, Gene Starwind. He was at a spaceport and there was a ship that was about to take off and he was watching from a distance, but the colors that were used and the mood and the animation in that little clip within that promo, and it just looked so amazing. It looked like that ship was blasting off into some sort of amazing adventure, and that anime looked like it just had so much potential. And I'm like, I was so intrigued by it. It made me tune into Toonami just to catch that show. Lo and behold, I tuned into the show and it blew my mind, right? I hope I'm not butchering this person's name. The creator of the show, Takehiko Ito, managed to create the incredible, alluring, and immersive world that we know as Outlaw Star. And it cannot be understated, folks. It cannot be understated under any circumstance. The classic series managed to pull viewers into its expansive universe and make it feel fully complete within only 26 episodes. To me, that's an incredible feat because a lot of times when I watch anime of that length, I'm longing for a little bit more due to a lack of there being like enough depth with plot, characters, developments, you name it, so on and so forth. But with this series, it was like, oh yeah, I want more because it was so damn complete and so well done. I wished it was more, but it was definitively ended. This show was so impactful to me, despite my watching countless anime, more anime than I can remember, guys. All right. And it managed to leave a lasting impression and etch itself into the very fabric of my memory. It's made it into the top of the top for me. It's hard to do that with me, but it did. As a massive action and sci-fi buff, this show managed to check a ton of boxes for me. Can't lie. And there's a lot more that I love about this show. Here's a couple of things. The interstellar space travel, right? Intergalactic conflict with government and space pirates alike. Something I like to call also the Motley Crue effect. The dynamics of a group of mismatched people on a team facing immeasurable odds and still finding a way to not only operate as a cohesive unit in a strange, dysfunctional way. And this crew, they personify that to a T. But they overcome most, if not all, of their obstacles due to their strange, dysfunctional dynamic. It's amazing. Not to mention, what's really cool about the show is they had a really nice balance. I'm probably going to repeat myself, but they had a really nice balance of technology and magic. And that's something that I wasn't really expecting from that show. But they surprised me and it was really, really cool. The plot itself was simple enough, right? But it was infused with enough twists and turns to keep the show fresh and exciting. Of course, if I got all the way into the plot, guys, we'd be here for a long time. And I would love to do a super deep dive, but for the sake of time, nah, we're not gonna do that. All right, so make sure you check out the anime for yourself and then come back to this video and then maybe you agree with me on a lot of my things that I'm saying and so on and so forth. But what made me love this series, right? The expansive world or universe itself, right? I absolutely love how the creators took time to bring us, the viewer, into seemingly every possible nook and cranny, planet, space station, nebula, galactic system, livable asteroids that the story had to offer in, like I said, only 26 episodes. Whether it was the Blue Heaven, the outlaw establishment built on a massive asteroid where the code of ethics are scant but fiercely abided by nonetheless by the outlaws, to the all-water planet of Haifong 7, with a giant carnivorous fish that would eat ships whole. Crazy stuff, right? Then we have our main protagonist ripping through the cosmos via dangerous space race circuit, navigating just the different star systems. It's beautiful. It's amazing. The way how they implemented that particular thing in that story was awesome. And then we have the Earth adjacent backwater planet of Sentinel-3, where our main characters, Jean and Jim, originate from. And last but not least, the mythical and incalculable galactic ley line itself, and I'll get into what it actually is in a little bit. Among other remarkable places, the creators placed a premium on the experience of locations and travel throughout the galaxy via the coveted ship known as the Outlaw Star, but also known as the XGP. That really facilitated the immersive feel that I got when watching this series. The next thing that really got me from a visual standpoint was the color palette. It was extraordinarily vivid, and it was reflective of the amazing phenomena that we see from the stars and cosmos in our real life, and it had added flair and fluorescence, very much in line with an intergalactic space adventure anime. But not only that, it was counterbalanced by the grit and the dark overtones based off of the seriousness of the plot at hand. It was really nice mixture. So the color palette really stood out to me, especially when you see like when they're traveling through space and they're arriving, like I said, at places like the Blue Heaven or other extraordinary places where the intergalactic wrestling tournament took place, and just the coloring and all of that. It was so vivid and so amazing. It was nice to see. It was really good to see. Really cool. The third thing that really had a big impact on me and what made me love this series is both the sense of humor and the overarching sense of looming danger, right? There was a very good balance of these aspects that added to the excitement of the story, whether it was the over-the-top, touchy-feely antics of Fred Luo's flamboyance, right? Or the unique sociopathic danger that the McDougal brothers posed throughout the entire series. Then we have things like Aisha Clan getting mad at something trivial and destroying an entire establishment by accident because of her immense strength, and adding to very much comedic effect her long growing list of debt, right? To the domineering presence of the K pirates. Perhaps the most dangerous factor looming about throughout the entire story, though, was the allure of limitless fortune by way of the scarce but extremely sought after currency / mineral called dragonite, and the subsequent greed that it birthed across the stars via all walks of life. Believe me, all walks of life, humanoid and alien alike. Dragonite is a fluorescent purple mineral, and it's entangled the three major powers that exist in the story: the Space Force, which are literally the space military police, right? The space pirates, as you probably can already imagine what kind of people those people were, right? And the outlaws, which were kind of a mix between the two of them, but they kind of operated and marched to the beat of their own drum. And so those dynamics with those three power structures right there, it adds another plot wrinkle, and adds another layer, which is really cool. By the time I was done with this series, I felt like I'd seen everything and been literally everywhere with the characters. I was not kidding when I said I felt like the creators brought us, the viewers, into every nook and cranny of this story. They really capitalized on the 26 episodes, and they made it clear that, like I said, they're going to put a premium on locations and travel. They really did that. They did an amazing job with that. But speaking of characters, right? These characters to me were beautifully written, both as individuals and as a fully functioning team. The chemistry is off the charts in many ways, right? And everyone kind of balanced one another out damn near impeccably. The main character, of course, the anime Han Solo, if you will, right? Gene Starwind. With him, you know, the slightly arrogant, extremely skilled captain with an assortment of capabilities and vices and proclivities that make him both very human and very entertaining, right? Then we have Jim Hawking, the young genius. I believe he's 11 years old, right? Where Gene is in his mid-20s. Jim is an 11-year-old genius. So where Gene is aloof, right, with most things, the young genius is uptight, prompt, extremely knowledgeable, responsible, very brave despite his young age and lack of overall fighting power. He is incredibly resourceful and is very much a foil to Gene's make it up as I go style, right? Making them something of a perfect duo. Then we have Twilight Suzuka, right? The samurai, the quiet, reserved, fierce, and determined woman assassin of the group. She's rarely ever caught off guard. She's highly skilled, especially with her wooden sword, or her bokken, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, please correct me in the comments. Suzuka is very much a believer and practitioner of Bushido. She's also a woman who is bound by honor and professional murder, by the way, but she is also like surprisingly pleasant and quietly hilarious, especially in light of her interactions with Gene and his lecherous ways, right? She often quotes that Gene and his crew, whom she's quietly grown attached to throughout the story. She likes to refer to them as interesting people. That's her excuse for wanting to tag along. She cites that as her reasoning for continuing to hang out with them and follow them through their misadventures, right? Aisha Clan, the ctarl-ctarl from the extremely proud ctarl-ctarl race. She is the epitome of hot-headedness, extreme pride, naivete, incalculable physical power, and supremely enhanced senses. Aisha of the ctarl-ctarl race is a literal force of nature in more ways than one. In spite of her many pitfalls as a person, much to the comedic effect for the audience, right? She is fiercely loyal to her people and later on her motley crew of friends. And again, she provides a lot of comic relief, right? It's really, really funny. It's really funny. Gilliam, right? The snarky, smart-ass, sarcastic AI of the ship brought a much-needed sense of balance that I really never thought I would get from an AI. But his role as the ship's consciousness was very necessary and it worked really well. And it also helps that, you know, he was created alongside the next character in conjunction with the next character. And they both serve a central role in pushing the plot forward, right? And this person that I'm talking about next, who is a main driving force in the story, her name is Melfina. She is very sweet, a mild-mannered, trusting, kind, naive, and integral person in the story and the crew. Melfina is perhaps the most important person due to her mysterious origins, because she was literally found in a box. I repeat, she was found in a box, all right? Like a high-tech suitcase. She was literally found in a high-tech suitcase by Gene and Jim while they were working a job that turned dangerous almost immediately, as their luck would have it all the time, right? Melfina is a walking, living, breathing, organic AI in a human form with special and unusual abilities. Because of her special abilities, it makes her the proverbial apple of the eye of many interested parties, and might I add, a lot of those parties are extremely dangerous. This is especially true for one Harry McDougal. He's an android with similar makeup to Melfina and has become obsessed with being with her because he feels like there's no one else in the universe who understands him the way that she could. And, you know, he's kind of like
a psychopath.
You can imagine being obsessed with the only other being in the galaxy that is like you, and imagine how he feels when she tells him, like, yeah, no, like, you're a little bit too crazy for me. You think he's gonna react positively to that? No. But she is a central piece to the plot because it is believed by many in the story that she inherently possesses the coordinates to the ever-evasive, ever-mysterious galactic ley line. Now, the galactic ley line was believed to be created by an advanced race of aliens who died out long ago, long before the present storyline. The ley line is kind of like a universal library of knowledge of the entire universe, managed by a sentient artificial intelligence that later assumes the identity of the maiden of the ley line. Individuals who successfully find the ley line will be granted whatever their desire is by the ley line. Unlimited fortune, riches, power, you name it, right? And the funny thing about the galactic ley line is because it's a sentient AI, it doesn't stay in the same place, which is why it's so damn hard to be found. You don't just stumble upon the galactic ley line. You need a Melfina. And of course, can you imagine being the sole being in the entire universe that can locate this one thing, this coveted thing that can give you all that power? Yeah. Whether she wanted the danger or not, she's gonna have to accept that, right? But she landed in the arms of Gene, Starwind, and Jim Hawking and crew, and couldn't have found a better set of hands, right? Look, I can go into the characters all the way, right? Especially the supporting characters. Now, there's a other central figure that pushed the story forward, Hot Ice Hilda, right? But her story, spoiler alert, her story ended early in the Outlaw Star story, because this is a story that focuses on Gene Starwind and his crew, right? But the supporting cast of characters are really, really cool. Really, really cool. I love the fact that there's a lot of varied alien races that all coexist with humans across the galaxy and stars too. But here's the thing, along with incredible application of imaginative technology and a near perfect amount of magic was wonderfully infused into the DNA of the storyline and was portrayed flawlessly by none other than one of the main antagonist groups in the show, the K-Pirates. Now, per Outlaw Star Wiki, the K-Pirates use a form of Chinese ancient magic called Tao magic, and is used by various space pirates, including the members of the K-Pirate Guild. Tao magic involves chanting specific phrases and performing the required hand gestures in order to harness one's own spiritual chi energy and use it as a power spell. Now, in addition to the K-Pirates and Tao magic, right, another beautiful example of the marriage between magic and technology is one of the most powerful weapons in the entire story, the caster gun. They're hard to come by. The caster shells are even harder to come by. Caster guns can literally fire pre-casted spells from its barrel towards its target to varying effects of devastation. And the amazing thing about this technology is that it's incredibly hard to come by. So there's very few people that have these weapons. Another person, one of the most dangerous people who has these weapons, are the McDougal brothers, the sociopathic guys that kind of are a looming presence throughout the story. Guys, again, I'm just going over a lot of stuff that I really loved about the show. One of those things was the animation. Well, it could be a little goofy with certain things. That's kind of what it was like, you know, for the late 90s style with a lot of these shows. And I, for one, enjoyed the animation. And as I mentioned before, it holds especially true in regards to the vivid palette of colors used to capture the vastness of the expanse of the Outlaw Star universe. This is well balanced, like I said before, with the gritty aspects of the story, but some of the darker colors and tones added its own flavor to the story. You know, since I originally watched this on Toonami, I only had the English dub to go by, right? And normally when it comes to English dubbed anime, let's be real, the voiceovers more times than not are usually trash. Super trash. But in this case, the voice actors, they were superb, and they fit the characters extremely well. It was so much so for me that to this day, I've yet to seek out the Japanese dub to watch the series, which is rare for me because normally with anime, I don't even bother with the English dub. I become a pro at reading the subtitles, as many of us have, right? It's just more authentic with the Japanese voiceover and the English subtitles, you know? Now, when we talk about the artwork and the music, specifically, I'm speaking about the artwork and the music for the ending theme songs of each episode. The art itself was drawn by Hikaru Tanaka. I don't even know what to call this art style, so please forgive my ignorance. But when you couple it with the ambient melodies and soundscapes of the ending theme song, it literally took me out of my body and transported me into the metaphysical realm for whatever reason. And to this day, it is so hard for me to put into words how much I love Hiru no Suki, the theme song, the first theme song. And it's also coincidentally the theme song that Melfina sang, especially towards the end of the series when they were in the galactic ley line itself. And that song, it just does something to me. And I'm not alone. You know, when I read the comments on the YouTube video version of it, and just everybody felt kind of a similar way that I did. It just epitomizes nostalgia. And there's something about the arrangement, from the melody to the chord progression to the strings, that really just take you there. And again, when you look at the artwork itself in conjunction with the music, there's just something different that happens on the inside of me that I'm just like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is truly amazing. So the composer of that work, shout out to them. I'll put the link in the song here. But again, the name of the song is Hiru no Suki. And it's just beautiful, beautiful arrangement. In conclusion, this story had a lot of impact on me because of the setting, the colors, the story, the plot, the technology, the way how the story maneuvered, especially that last episode, man, that was a trip. I don't know what stuff those people were on when they did the last episode, when they reached the ley line and all the trippy things that happened. It was crazy, right? But the fact that this place took me everywhere, from backwater planets to mythical ley lines filled with immeasurable treasure, and the danger and the action that took place, and the grit, the will, the toughness, the capability and the functionality of the motley crew here of Jean, Jim, Suzuka, Melfina, and Aisha, and then by extension Gilliam, who, may I mention, he's the AI of a grappler ship, the XGP, which is called the Outlaw Star. And apparently in this universe, if you have a grappler ship, you're eschewing for space supremacy, right? That's just the end thing when you have a grappler ship. And these guys be throwing hands hand to hand with grappler ships and weapons in their arms. And You know, again, the XGP, aka the Outlaw Star, also has incredible maneuverability and navigation system with assistance by Gilliam and Melfina, which add to its overall value, which makes Gene and crew the ire of many people's focus, right? And you know, another thing that I didn't mention earlier, but what I really love is showing the day-to-day of a crew that is always on the verge of being broke. Jim and Gene, they had a company called Hawking and Starwind, or Starwind and Hawking. And these guys were basically setting up themselves as freelancers, mercs, bodyguards for hire. They did anything. They were a jack of all trades, which is what landed them in the position to receive this coveted ship that was built by a special team of scientists. And I mean, the ship that they have is invaluable. And that's why, on top of that, they are the ire of, again, of the Space Force, the Space Pirates, and fellow outlaws. So you take all of these things that I mentioned, you combine it, and you definitely get an amazing space anime, a space romp through the galaxies and through the stars. And again, the dynamic between the crew members and how mismatched they are on the surface as each progressive episode happens. They gel more and more and more, and you can see them growing to really care about each other and have each other's back. And they become something of an unstoppable unit. You know, once they get to the ley line, it's all hands on deck. And it's just, again, the vast expanse where the creators took us. They took us to all these amazing places. And the way how they portrayed it with the animation and how they captured my eyes and they captured my attention with the vivid display of the galactic offerings is what really made me love the show. This was a story as much about space, outlaws, running and gunning, and ragtag adventure time as it was about identity and purpose. The characters all brought with them many of the complexities we as people could completely relate to. And it's because of that is why I really, really love this show. Those kind of shows really have a special place in my heart because, like I said, I'm an action buff. I love sci-fi. So those things are automatically gonna be like high up on my list. Outlaw Star is no exception. Very high on my list. It's a classic. The way how it's imprinted itself on my mind and heart is amazing, and that's why I love the series so much. But we're at the end of the show. If you guys want me to do a part 2 to this or whatever have you, or you want me to talk about another show, we can discuss it. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications when I drop new videos. I am your host, Lex Black. This is the show Midnight Arcade. I am excited to bring this to you, and I'm excited to grow this channel with you guys. Stay tuned. I'm out.